With more than 50 million shipping containers moving across the world's oceans and millions more sitting in ports, rail yards, and industrial zones, these steel boxes are the invisible backbone of global trade. Every day they carry food, electronics, machinery, clothing, and raw materials across continents. But here's the part most people never think about. Containers don't last forever in shipping service. After about 10 to 15 years of exposure to salt water, heavy loads, and rough handling, many are retired from international transport. In the United States alone, hundreds of thousands of containers reach this point every year, creating a massive secondary industry dedicated to reusing and recycling these giants of steel. Before we step inside this hidden world, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss our deep dives into the industries that quietly power modern life. Shipping containers revolutionized global commerce in the mid-20th century. Before standardized containers, cargo had to be loaded piece by piece onto ships, a slow and dangerous process known as break bulk shipping. In 1956, American entrepreneur Malcolm McLean introduced the modern intermodal container, a simple steel box designed to move seamlessly between ships, trains, and trucks. The impact was immediate and profound. Shipping costs plummeted, trade expanded, and ports transformed into high-tech logistics hubs. Today, over 90% of world trade travels in containers. Built from corrosion-resistant Corten steel, these containers are engineered to endure extreme conditions. Stacked high on ocean vessels, slammed by waves, baked in tropical heat, and frozen in Arctic winds. A standard 40-foot container weighs around 8,000 pounds empty and can carry more than 60,000 pounds of cargo. Multiply that by millions of units, and you begin to grasp the scale of steel moving across the planet. However, safety regulations for international shipping are strict. Even minor structural damage, corrosion, or floor degradation can disqualify a container from further maritime use. When that happens, the container doesn't become waste. Instead, it enters a vast recycling and repurposing network centered around major ports such as Los Angeles, Long Beach, Houston, Savannah, and New York. The journey begins in storage yards, where retired containers are stacked like giant building blocks. Rows stretch for acres, each unit tagged, inspected, and graded according to condition. Some are still structurally sound and need only minor repairs. Others require extensive refurbishment. The worst cases are destined for dismantling and scrap recycling. Repairable containers move to refurbishment facilities that resemble a cross between shipyards and automotive body shops. Workers inspect the steel frames, corner castings, roof panels, and doors. Damaged sections are cut out using plasma torches and replaced with new steel plates. Floors, often made of marine plywood, are removed if contaminated or rotted and replaced with treated lumber. Doors are adjusted, seals replaced, and locking mechanisms restored. After structural repairs, containers are sandblasted to remove rust, old paint, and salt residue. This process leaves a clean metal surface ready for protective coatings. Specialized marine-grade paints are applied to extend lifespan for decades. When finished, many refurbished containers look almost new, ready for a second life far removed from the open sea. One of the largest uses for retired containers in America is simple storage. Businesses, construction sites, farms, and homeowners purchase them as secure, weatherproof units. Their steel construction resists fire, pests, and theft far better than traditional sheds. Thousands of companies specialize in modifying containers with vents, shelving, electrical wiring, and climate control systems. But storage is only the beginning. Over the past 2 decades, container architecture has exploded in popularity. Designers discovered that these modular steel boxes can be stacked and combined to create homes, offices, schools, hospitals, and commercial spaces. Entire apartment complexes and hotels have been built from recycled containers. In disaster zones, they provide rapid deployment housing and medical facilities. For military applications, containers become mobile command centers and equipment shelters. Conversion facilities transform plain boxes into fully functional buildings. Large cutting machines create openings for windows and doors. Reinforcement beams maintain structural integrity. Insulation is installed to regulate temperature, followed by interior walls, plumbing, and electrical systems. The result is a structure that can be transported by truck and installed in days rather than months. Restaurants and retail spaces have embraced containers as well. Pop-up shops, food courts, and cafes built from stacked units are now common in urban redevelopment projects. Their industrial aesthetic and modular design appeal to both developers and customers, while the reuse of existing materials aligns with sustainability goals. Meanwhile, another sector focuses on industrial conversions. Containers are ideal enclosures for generators, battery storage systems, water treatment equipment, and telecommunications hardware. Renewable energy projects often use containerized systems because they are durable, transportable, and easy to deploy in remote locations. Data centers, mining operations, and oil fields rely on these converted units as portable infrastructure. Despite the enormous demand for reuse, not every container can be salvaged. Units with severe corrosion, structural failure, or contamination enter the dismantling phase. Here, heavy machinery takes over. Giant hydraulic shears slice through steel walls as if cutting paper. Forklifts maneuver twisted sections into piles, separating steel from wood flooring and insulation materials. Magnetic cranes collect scrap metal and feed it into shredders that reduce entire container sections into fist-sized fragments. These fragments travel through sorting systems that remove remaining contaminants. The cleaned steel scrap is then transported to electric arc furnaces, where it is melted at temperatures exceeding 1,500 degrees Celsius and reborn as new steel products: beams, rebar, automotive parts, or even new containers. This closed-loop recycling process saves enormous amounts of energy compared to producing steel from raw iron ore. It also reduces mining demand and greenhouse gas emissions. In a sense, the steel that once crossed oceans carrying goods may eventually become part of buildings, bridges, or infrastructure on land. This is the essence of the supergiant container recycling industry. A system where massive steel objects are continuously repaired, repurposed, and reborn instead of discarded. In a world seeking sustainable solutions, few examples demonstrate large-scale reuse as clearly as these humble boxes that keep global trade moving. If you enjoyed this journey into the hidden world of container recycling, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss our next exploration into the farms, factories, and technologies shaping our future. Thanks for watching, and stay curious.
Every year, the United States quietly retires thousands of military vehicles. Trucks that once crossed deserts, armored machines that rolled through training grounds, engineering vehicles that built bridges, airfields, and forward bases. To most people, these machines simply disappear. But they don't vanish. They enter one of the largest, most tightly controlled recycling systems in the world. This is the supergiant military vehicle recycling industry, where war machines are dismantled, neutralized, and reborn as raw materials for the civilian economy. Before we go deeper, Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our deep dive documentaries into the industries that operate behind locked gates and far from public view. Military vehicles are built differently from anything on civilian roads. A standard military truck can weigh 2 to 3 times more than a commercial vehicle. Armored hulls, reinforced frames, heavy-duty axles, oversized engines, and thick steel dominate their construction. Many contain high-grade aluminum, copper wiring, specialty alloys, and hardened steel that can withstand extreme conditions. Because of this, military equipment holds enormous material value even after it becomes obsolete. But before a single bolt can be recycled, something far more important happens. Demilitarization. When a military vehicle is retired, it cannot simply be sold or scrapped. Sensitive systems must be removed or destroyed. This includes communications equipment, encrypted electronics, armor configurations, and specialized components. In some cases, entire sections of a vehicle are cut apart to ensure they can never be restored to combat use. This step alone separates military recycling from civilian scrap processing. It adds time, cost, and oversight, but it is non-negotiable. Once cleared, vehicles are transferred to large-scale dismantling facilities operated by authorized contractors. These facilities often resemble massive industrial graveyards. Rows of green, tan, and gray machines stretch across acres of land. Cranes, shears, and loaders move constantly. The dismantling process begins with fluid removal. Fuel, oil, hydraulic fluid, and coolant are drained and captured. Military vehicles can hold hundreds of gallons of fluids, all of which must be handled according to strict environmental rules. Next comes component separation. Engines are lifted out, transmissions are removed. Axles, suspension systems, and drivetrains are detached. Some components are inspected and reused in training equipment or non-combat applications. Others go straight to material recovery. Then the real scale of the operation becomes visible. Giant hydraulic shears cut frames apart like paper. Industrial torches slice through armor plating inches thick. Crushers collapse cabins and bodies. What once took thousands of hours to build is reduced to sections of metal in minutes. A single armored vehicle can yield 20 to 30 tons of recoverable steel. Multiply that by thousands of vehicles retired every year, and the numbers become staggering. The military vehicle recycling system processes hundreds of thousands of tons of metal annually. Steel is the largest output, but it's far from the only one. Aluminum from engine components and panels is separated. Copper wiring is stripped and recovered. Brass, lead, and specialty alloys are sorted into dedicated streams. Even rubber from massive military tires is shredded and recycled into industrial products. Nothing moves randomly. Every material stream is tracked. Every ton is documented. Once processed, recovered metals are shipped to civilian steel mills, aluminum smelters, and foundries. There, they are melted down and transformed into construction beams, rebar, automotive parts, industrial machinery, and infrastructure materials. Steel that once formed the backbone of a military convoy may later support a bridge, a factory, or a power plant. This closed-loop system delivers enormous economic value. Recycling military vehicles costs far less than landfilling or long-term storage. It reduces the need for new mining. It injects raw materials back into domestic manufacturing, and it does so while maintaining strict security controls. But the industry is not only about recycling metal, it's also about scale logistics. Military vehicles are often decommissioned in waves. Entire fleets are retired when technology shifts or missions change. This means recycling facilities must be able to absorb sudden surges of thousands of vehicles, process them efficiently, and clear storage space for the next wave. To handle this, facilities operate like heavy industrial plants. Multiple dismantling lines run in parallel. Shifts operate day and night. Equipment uptime is critical. Downtime costs millions. Environmental controls are equally strict. Dust suppression systems prevent airborne contamination. Stormwater runoff is captured and treated. Noise and vibration are monitored. Military recycling sites are some of the most regulated industrial operations in the country. And yet, almost no one ever sees them. The public sees parades, convoys, and headlines. They don't see the end-of-life machinery, the final chapter where military power turns into raw material. There is also a historical dimension to this industry. Every generation of military equipment reflects the technology of its era. Cold War vehicles carry different metals than modern digital platforms. As older fleets are dismantled, they release vast quantities of legacy materials back into circulation. In this way, military recycling becomes a bridge between eras, converting the industrial output of past conflicts into the physical foundations of the modern economy. From an environmental standpoint, the impact is massive. Recycling 1 ton of steel saves over 1,400 pounds of iron ore, hundreds of pounds of coal, and thousands of gallons of water. Multiply that by hundreds of thousands of tons, and the carbon savings are enormous. But perhaps the most remarkable aspect of this industry is how quietly it operates. No advertising, no branding, no consumer awareness, just cranes, cutters, and conveyors doing their work behind secured fences. This is not spectacle. This is not nostalgia. This is controlled industrial transformation. The supergiant military vehicle recycling industry exists to close a loop few people ever think about, ensuring that when machines of war reach the end of their purpose, they do not become burdens but resources. Steel reborn, energy conserved, history dismantled, and repurposed. If you found this inside look into a hidden industrial system fascinating, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. We'll see you next time, inside another massive operation that keeps the modern world supplied, often without anyone noticing.